Hello, and welcome to day 3 of Made for More. My name is Mandy Gatlin, and so far you have done day 1, where you've become aware of the words that you were using and the thoughts that you were thinking, your situation also. And you probably got a little frustrated looking at it. I know I did whenever this does happen for me, when I get really honest with myself, that's when I start to say, okay, I know this is because I'm actually made for more. And it does get easier with time and as you practice it. And that's really why I wanted to share this with you guys, because I want you to feel out for yourself where you're at. Be really honest with yourself right now. And then also know that there is a way to shift that you can listen to yourself. You can hear in what areas you need to make changes so that you can actually get more for yourself. So for day 1, it was all about awareness, right? And getting honest with yourself. And then day 2, you were starting to really see that there were things that you could be maybe shifting and changing. And today, I want to get into the action. This is where what I call $1,000,000 actions come into play. And it's really where maybe, when you think about day 1, I want you to think into, if it is for your current situation, it is smaller, right? And I don't want to say that like to minimize whatever you're doing for yourself right now or whatever life that you're in right now. But if you get real, with yourself and you get honest, most likely you're going to see it as, wow, this really isn't meeting the limit, the new standard, right? Or the new limit that I have, that I really know that I am capable of so much more. Just like my example with using the word balloons in my advertising for my very first business that I had, and knowing that it immediately felt off. And what I did with that is I took that information and I ran with it. So instead of, just saying, okay, well, I put an ad in, and this is going to run for a year. I'm stuck in this situation. No, I let that information of it feeling off speak to me. And so this is where, yes, it may be speaking to you. You might be hearing, you need to do something different. Are you doing something different? Right? So this is where I ended up taking that information and really assessing, just like I did in day 2. I was telling you guys that here I was figuring out that I actually want to um, have something that was more consistent. So I really started picking apart and listening for what I truly wanted in customers so that it would match that new standard that I had. So for you, it may be defining exactly what is that new standard first. So you may want to write that down so that I know that I want to at least be making this much, per month, or I want this kind of love now, whatever your more is, right? And then you want to see, okay, what actions do I need to be taking that actually align with that? This is where the beauty of manifestation comes in. This is where you get to be intentional. And this is what happens every single time. If you want more for yourself, then it's just about tuning into where things are off, what you actually want, and then taking the action to get there. And that is the magic. That is the simplicity in manifestation, really. So for me, it was I knew I wanted to be making way more That was what I started with. When I worked at the vet clinic, for me, I was not making enough. So I immediately said, okay, I need to end this. I need to exit it. Then when I went into going into my business, maybe I or still had these beliefs, that I had going into work, working for someone else, which was you need to work hard and you need to, work your way up. Maybe I took those beliefs with me, into that new business, but deep down, my truth was that I knew I wanted to be making way more. I wanted that number to keep going up. I wanted my business to grow. And so when I started to see that the customers that I was getting was a result of my decision, just maybe an unconscious decision to just put the word balloons out there, right? And when I saw what happened as a result of taking that unconscious action, I immediately knew that I needed to use a lot more intention with my actions. So here's where you get to start really assessing for yourself, what intentional things do I need to be doing to go bigger? And usually this brings up fears for people, it brings up beliefs for people. And I know for me, certainly that happens. It happened every single time that I felt that feeling of, oh, I'm supposed to go bigger or something, I'm made for more. Every time you get that feeling, there's what comes with it is that feeling of fear and your beliefs. It's all stuff that you have to see and work through. And then you start to realize that those things are really old. They're just old things, really, that you've been carrying with you. And to go bigger, it means, the reason that they're coming up is just because it's time for you to set those things down, for you to let them go. And there's ways, that you can do that to release, for some people, when I've seen people needing to, for example, break out on their own. Sometimes that's because family has been talking to them and telling them things. And sometimes you just need distance, from that. Sometimes you need a break from that so that you can hear your own self and make those bigger decisions without the constant input from people who don't have your own truth, right? You are your own blueprint. Again, just like I said in day two, you know exactly what you need from within you to get to these bigger things that you want, these bigger desires that you have. You have that within you. It doesn't come from others. And so sometimes it means something as simple as breaking free, from family or from friends, giving yourself more space from them. That would be a way to start releasing some of the programming, the beliefs, and the, old thoughts and things that are around you. But for sure, right, when you get to this place of, that you're made for more, if you listen to that and learn to listen to that, that's going to be a practice that you are constantly doing. Once you start to implement it, you're going to get what I want to say is like a list of actions that you need to be taking. And I call them naggings. These are things that come up constantly that just keep nagging at you, it keeps kind of coming up for you like, you need to go do this. You need to go do it. It may be like you need to go travel to a particular place, right? Or it may be that you need to quit the job that you're at and it just keeps pushing and pushing at you and nagging at you. It may be that you need to invest in something. So, just to give you an example, again, from that same business of mine, when I first started the business and I went from knowing that, I didn't want to service the moms with the parties anymore, and I wanted to really go up and upscale into working with businesses and focusing on the helium deliveries to them. I knew that I needed to get a truck to be able to handle that. We were bumming around in old hand-me-down car, doing balloons and parties for people when I first started my business. And when I realized that I actually wanted to be servicing businesses, and I knew I needed something that could handle that. And so I heard that I needed to go get a truck. I kept feeling it. That's what I mean by a nudging. It's something that in order for me to go into this next level, I need to do XYZ. Okay? So I want you to take a moment, and probably even as I'm talking to you about this, you might be getting a flood of ideas or nudgings. You probably already know. Just watching this, you probably already know what that action is. I want you to write it down. As it comes to you, do not lose it. Write it down. And that nudging, that is the thing that you've got to do. It's the next step. It's the thing that is keeping you literally from going bigger. So what I want to say is thinking small and taking small actions leads to a small life. Thinking big and taking big actions leads to a bigger life. Okay. So it really depends on the words you're using and the actions you're taking. If they're smaller, then that's what you're going to see show up in your life. That is your standard. That is your limit for yourself. If you instead say, I'm going to own that this nudging that I'm getting that feels scary is big, and you use words that are, you know, much more expansive, and you start to take those bigger actions for yourself, you're going to see much bigger results happen, right? So, for example, for me, with having that business and knowing I needed to get a truck, I went to a car dealership and talked to a car dealer, someone that I was already providing balloons to that car dealership, not helium yet. And I said to him, this is something that I want to be doing. He said, well, do you have credit? And I was like, what's credit? Because I was very young. I was in college. I had no clue what credit was. And he said, it's okay. It's okay. Do you have any money saved? And I said, "Mm, yeah." I really didn't want to tell him. I really didn't want to disclose that I had some money saved because it was the money that I had worked for and saved, like as babysitting and dog sitting from when I was in my teens up to that point, being in college. It was my savings. That's all I had. So I finally said, "Yeah, I do." And he asked how much, and I said, "It's about $5,000." And he said, "Well, if you can write a check for that $5,000 as a down payment, I will help you qualify for a truck. And also, if you are able to give me a discounted rate on the helium," and we did it on a handshake. And that was the scariest moment in my life, taking a check, writing a check for $5,000 to pay for the first truck. That was my $1 million action that I took. If I never had done that, I would never have gotten the business going, the helium business going. It would have fallen flat, fallen dead. I would have still been running around doing party jobs for moms through college and probably would have entered into some career. Now, my life changed. It changed very, very quickly. This is what happens when you take $1 million action. Your life starts to change very fast. When you listen to those nudgings and you take the action, suddenly you open up your energy, you expand it. It becomes so much easier for things to flow to you. Okay. So for me, I started right away knowing all of the other actions I needed to take. I needed to go to an industrial supplier and negotiate a deal on helium. And I did that. I needed to make sure I had all of the supplies, the equipment, and I went and invested in that. So I started to take these actions, and I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I pretty much blew through my savings. I was taking whatever I was getting from my sales and investing it into these things that I knew I needed to do to go after it, to get my business going. These were the bigger actions that I was taking. And I want to tell you, from probably the time that I got that truck, within a month or two, secured a deal for some helium tanks. Right away, my income probably like quadrupled. It went from, making $20 and $30 a sale with moms for their birthdays, which was very random also. That was the other thing that I didn't like about it, was there was no consistency, to now I was starting to go and get consistent clients. So I was working with car dealerships and schools and florists and apartment communities and home builders. I was able to go and secure deals with them so that I could bring them helium, bring them balloons, make a sale each time, come and check on them, take good care of them, basically build a relationship with those businesses. And I was able to then see that income start to become consistent, and it started to go up and up and up. Okay. So this is the thing that I want you to get from this, which is, what $1 million action do you need to take? What thing are you hearing? And it might not, for you, it may not feel like, wow, that, I'm buying a truck or something like that. But I will say that it should feel scary for you. It should be something out of the normal. It should be something that your family will be like, you're crazy. Your family will probably look at you funny, because it's not their normal. For you now, knowing that you're meant for more, that you're made for more, this is your new normal. And for them, they want comfortable. And so their decisions are going to whatever they decide, it's going to make sure that they feel comfortable. For you, whatever you decide, it's going to take you into expansiveness, into expansive energy. If you're made for more, your decisions are going to come from that place, from an expansive place. And it will involve taking these bigger aligned actions that, people around you may not feel comfortable doing. So, this is another piece of this, which is, you do need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. You do need to start feeling into, okay, I know I'm made for more. That means that I need to walk with those fears. I need to take them with me because I know that it's going to get me from where I am now to where I want to be much faster. And that is what happened for me. Within a year, I was making three times what I made the first year. And every year after, every month, my numbers just kept doubling and doubling and doubling because I knew now this is a match for me. These clients are the clients that I want. I could even start to get picky about the business clients that I wanted. I could start releasing the ones that maybe didn't pay as well or became difficult. I was able to make those decisions too, because that was important for my business, for me to be able to buy more assets and keep growing in the way that I needed to fulfill the needs of my clients. I needed to make sure that I was servicing the kind of clients that, were paying their bills on time, and also weren't difficult, about things. So this is it. These are the kinds of decisions, that it's going to come to for you when you know that you're made for more. So some things that I want to go over for you just to make it clear, and to kind of give you a breakdown of these steps, right? And to remind you of the process because we've gone through 3 days, of this, and this is something that you get to utilize now for the rest of your life. When you get into this energy, when you start to feel this feeling for yourself that you're made for more, that's a different feeling than a lot of people, who are out there. And not to make it, sound like you're special, but it just is unique. It's different. And it is hard to find those people out there who speak in these ways, that think in these ways. And so, just like I said earlier, you may have to kind of like cut yourself off a little bit. I'm not saying like completely end relationships with people close to you, but you may have to like cut them off or, keep things short with them if they start to have opinions, for example, about these feelings that you have about being made for more. Because if you let those things get in and kind of like infiltrate you, like in a way, like speak to you, it's very easy for you to slip and to start to believe them, to start to doubt yourself. And that's not what you need, during these times. If you are in expansion energy, you need to be not only around people who are expanding and think bigger, but you yourself need to be protecting your own energy and really listening to yourself and the things that come through you. Okay. So, what it looks like is, for you, just like we did in day one, become aware of when something feels off. That is key. So you'll know because your body will start telling you, you'll start to feel frustrated, you'll start to feel aggravated, in a situation. Sometimes, sometimes you will start to doubt yourself. And a lot of people interpret that in the wrong way. Many people that I work with that are doubting themselves, I immediately know why. And it's because they're not listening to themselves, truly listening to what they want and what they desire. So if you are doubting yourself, it's probably because you're hitting the edge, what I call an edge for yourself. And it just means that you need to be willing to push through that edge. If you have that doubt, you've got to find it from within yourself. I say it's kind of like when you start a little bonfire. and you bring the wood to it and you bring the like a flame, like a match or something, and you're lighting it and you're taking care and you're trying to blow on it and, get it lit. You have to bring that energy of care and nurturing to get it going. And you have to be consistent at it and persistent about it. You have to keep trying until it's lit. And once it's lit, then you got to feed it a little bit more of your energy. You got to bring some things like little, pieces of wood and things to it to make sure it keeps going and building. So you do need to make sure that you're bringing that care, to it. So awareness about, what is off is very important, even though it feels frustrating to look at it. It is the honesty that's going to help you to see exactly what you actually do want, right? So you can take whatever it is that feels frustrating to you. You could write that down, and then you could literally take that and do the opposite in terms of a phrase or words, and that would help you to see what you actually want. Okay, so if it's like right now, for me, I'm feeling like this pay is too low. What is the opposite of that? A high pay, right? So it's very simple practice, but you see how effective it is in terms of like letting yourself be honest and see that truth of, this sucks. I don't like this, but this is actually what I do want. So getting honest is really key. And then you want to let yourself kind of like look into that a little bit deeper. So if you get your answer about, well, I want more, that's where day two came in. Now we go into looking at what is that? What does that look like? Like, what is the actual desire? For me, it was I didn't want the mom birthday party because it was too small. Basically, it was too small of pay for me. I knew it wasn't going to help me meet my goal of getting to $1 million. So therefore, I needed consistency and I needed more in terms of the income. And so I that gives me the answers. It kind of gives me the direction that I need to go in. Then I knew I needed to be focused on businesses and allowing myself to see that, that reality was huge. So that's all what we did in day two. Day three, we go into the action. What is the scary action that you need to take? What is the bigger action that you need to take? Because bigger means you get bigger results, right? The bigger action that feels scary means you get the bigger results. So I also want to give you guys some tips in terms of some things to journal about. And these are just things that, will help, lead you in the right direction. So the first thing is I want you to write down what looks like more to you. This is all your journey. It's what you desire. Okay. So get very clear about what more looks like to you. Okay. It could be you include your family in this. That is nice to do, but I would rather you focus first on you and what's coming to you. Okay. And then at some point you can go to, your spouse, your kids, or whatever, and, get into this as an exercise with them as well. And you may find that they're on board with it and they want to participate, which is really fun. But for you yourself, what does more look like for you? This is where you get to unlock that kind of like the bigger vision for yourself. That's really important. The second thing is, who do you need to be speaking to then? Okay, like what kind of language do you need to be using? What kind of words? describe more for you. So go ahead and write these things down as journal prompts. You can do them now if you want, or use them later, really, as journal prompts for yourself. I want you to be going into this language of more. Okay, so is it, expansiveness? Is it consistency? Is it, a number, that you are hearing? Really, really hone in on that and understand that this is going to help you know who you need to be going to, let's say, as clients. Okay. That's what it helped me to do. It helped me to discover that it wasn't about balloons, it was about helium. Just shifting that one word meant so much. And so I knew then that I needed to be speaking to businesses and clients that would really want helium. So that's why I'm saying, what kind of language do you need to be using? Who do you need to be speaking to in your content, let's say, if it's your business? Who do you need to be speaking to if you want someone who's maybe a higher caliber in a relationship? Okay. So this kind of helps you to start leaning into a different direction for yourself. This is where you get to be intentional and you get to really decide for yourself, like, what is it that you're wanting, and to now be speaking in that direction and leaning in that direction. The third thing is, if you want to be creating more for yourself, you're made for more and you want to create more, you have to be leaning into what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and what you're feeling for yourself to do more. So, just like the work we did here in day 3, what is the action that you're hearing, feeling, or seeing that you need to take? And make sure to write that down. The fourth thing is really simple, simple and hard. Give yourself permission to do the thing. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel crazy. People are going to tell you you're crazy. What are you doing? But taking that one big aligned action is going to change your trajectory. It's going to shift things in a huge way. When people talk about quantum leaping, that's what this is. You're going from a trajectory that you were on that was kind of small, and you're suddenly leaping into a new one. I can guarantee you, when you give yourself permission to do this thing and then you actually do it, things are going to start lining up for you. You may even, once you've done the thing, your old life is going to start to feel really off. And that is something to expect and to kind of honor at the same time. And what I will tell you is to not attach to that old life. I will tell you to do everything you can to release that old life, bless it, do whatever you need to do to allow it to fall away from you. And the faster that you do it, the faster you get to go on this amazing ride where so much more flows to you, so much better, so much faster. Okay. So those are the things really for you that I wanted you to journal about. And I will have all of these journal prompts are going to be in your workbook. So you can refer to them, you can use them. And once again, remember that this program is something that you get to come back to every time you get that itch, or you get that nudging, or you get that feeling that you're made for more. And it can help you to walk through this process until you have it in you and it feels like second nature. And so definitely come back to it. Anytime that you feel like you need to, you have it for a lifetime now, you get to come back to it and utilize it and say, okay, I need to go through these journal prompts again because I know I need to make another uncomfortable decision, right? So that's what I want for you is to always know that you can come back to this and use it. All right, thank you so much for doing this. I am so excited for you. And if you want to, as you do these exercises, please reach out to me. Let me know what came up for you. Let me know that big thing that you realized that you need to do. And you know I'm going to be cheering you on 100%. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.